They've touched our hearts, they've made us smile, and became dear friends, who we will always remain hopelessly devoted to.
Many individuals live a lifetime never confronting the level of heartbreak John Travolta has carried, and yet he remains someone audiences stay endlessly devoted to. For this Hollywood legend, misfortune didn't visit just once. It kept returning over the years. Each time it wore the same cruel disguise: cancer. Hearing that word alone sends a chill through anyone. In Travolta's life, the nightmare unfolded not once, not twice, but 3 different times. 3 women, 3 fights, 3 losses powerful enough to shatter almost anyone. The star who made the world fall for his dancing in Saturday Night Fever in Greece. Behind the spotlight, he has spent years quietly carrying sorrow. Picture being 23, standing at the edge of fame and holding the woman you love as she dies in your arms. After years, it became something he almost learned to live with. Just when you begin to recover, your mother is taken by the same illness. Then decades later, after rebuilding your life and starting a family, cancer returns and claims your wife as well. And beyond all that, there was the sudden and devastating loss of his teenage son. It feels like a script written for a movie, but this is reality, the life of John Travolta. Most people recognize him as Danny Zuko in The Leather Jacket, or Vincent Vega, the smooth-talking hitman. We remember the charm, the famous smile, and dance steps that shaped generations. Yet beyond those roles stands a man who has endured more suffering than anyone should face. Pain like that transforms a person. It forces a choice: surrender or continue moving forward. What stands out even more is the way he responded. There were no public breakdowns and no angry press appearances, only dignity and honesty about grief that helps others cope. He has become an unlikely source of comfort for anyone wondering how to survive repeated loss. And surprisingly, something has changed. After years of heartbreak, John Travolta is learning to live once more. Now at 70, he is finding happiness again, building memories with his children, and showing what resilience truly means. So, people keep asking, after everything cancer has taken from him, what lies ahead? As a young man from New Jersey entering Hollywood, he landed a role in the TV film The Boy in a Plastic Bubble, portraying a boy with a weakened immune system. Networks loved the emotional story, and he fit the character perfectly, but no one predicted what would happen off-camera. Then came Diana Hyland, an accomplished actress playing his mother in the film. She was 41, while he was 23. Despite the difference in age and their on-screen relationship, a connection formed they couldn't ignore. From the first day, John was completely captivated. Years afterward, he admitted he'd thought he understood love before, but meeting Diana changed that belief.
Gina, you move so fast. What does it feel like to move that fast?
Feels like flying.
They talked endlessly on set, describing themselves as two people unable to stop. Within weeks, friendship turned to romance. For young John, it was intense and consuming, almost like fate. He had found someone who understood him, matched his spirit, and made him feel alive. Her maturity balanced his youthful excitement, and together they began imagining a future. But there was one truth Diana hadn't revealed to John right away, a secret that would alter everything. She'd received a breast cancer diagnosis in 1975 and had a mastectomy. As their relationship began, she felt the worst was already over. She had every reason to believe she'd overcome it and that they still had time to build the life they imagined. John was immersed in filming Saturday Night Fever, the film that would turn him into an international star, and he and Diana were choosing homes and planning to move in together. Marriage was being seriously considered. Their future looked promising. Then Diana's condition began to worsen suddenly and frighteningly. The cancer had spread, and the outlook shifted from hopeful to devastating in what seemed like an instant. Diana only realized she was truly dying about 2 weeks before the end. 2 weeks to come to terms with every plan and dream slipping away. John returned to Los Angeles to stay with her, stepping away from the movie that would shape his career. Everything else faded compared to being at her side. On March 27, 1977, Diana Hyland died in John's arms. He held her as her life ebbed away, and later recalled feeling her final breath leave her. At just 23, John Travolta faced a loss many people don't encounter until much later in life. He had discovered deep, genuine love, and cancer took it from him. The following 10 weeks were the most painful period he had known. He mourned, struggled, and tried to understand why life could be so harsh. But what John never realized was that this would only be the beginning of cancer's role in his life. As if losing Diana weren't devastating enough, fate had another blow waiting. Only 18 months after her death, while John was still coping with grief, cancer returned through the person who had always supported him, his mother, Helen Travolta. Helen wasn't an ordinary parent. She was the reason John entered the entertainment world. Born Helen Cecilia Burke, she had been a singer and actress, performing with a radio group called the Sunshine Sisters. She even appeared in minor roles, including a paint store customer in Saturday Night Fever, her son's breakthrough film. Helen sparked creativity in all 6 of her children. She nurtured their passion for theater, performance, and the arts. The Travolta home was alive with music, drama, and imagination. Later, she became a high school drama and English teacher, sharing that passion with many students. Yet beyond her career, Helen was John's protector. As the youngest of 6, he was gentle and sensitive, the type of child who needed extra care. Childhood friends remembered a vulnerability about him. It made people instinctively want to look after him, and Helen understood him better than anyone.
When Helen learned she had breast cancer, she made a heartbreaking decision. She chose not to tell John immediately. She knew how deeply he'd suffered after Diana just 18 months earlier. She had watched him grieve and didn't want to increase his pain sooner than necessary. Helen tried to shield him even from her own illness. Eventually, she could no longer keep it from him. When she finally told him, John's world broke apart again. This time, he became the caregiver. He visited her nearly every day, sitting beside her bed and doing whatever he could to lift her spirits. There was something both touching and tragic about it. John would perform for his mother. He sang and staged little musical routines to brighten her hardest moments. It showed the strength of their bond through art and performance. But not even music could stop what was coming. Helen Travolta died on December 3, 1978, at age 66. Cancer had claimed another life. For John, it created what he called a massive emptiness. He had now lost 2 of the most important women in his life to the same disease in under 2 years. As if that grief weren't enough, his career also began to falter. The disco era that made him famous was fading. His follow-up films failed, and critics questioned whether he was just a brief sensation. Personal tragedy and professional struggle collided, and John, still in his mid-20s, felt overwhelmed by uncertainty. Yet he kept moving forward. The 1980s were difficult for his career, but emotionally he slowly recovered. By 1988, he was ready to risk love again. While filming The Experts, he met actress Kelly Preston. Kelly was warm, talented, and supportive, exactly what John needed after years of heartbreak. They connected quickly, and by 1991, they married in a midnight ceremony in Paris. It felt romantic and hopeful, a new beginning after years of darkness. John and Kelly became more than spouses. They were partners and closest friends, building a family together. In 1992, they welcomed their son, Jett. 2 years later, daughter Ella Blue arrived, and in 2010, another son, Benjamin, was born. On the surface, John Travolta seemed to have it all. He had a devoted wife, loving children, and a revived career after his acclaimed role in Pulp Fiction. But life still held challenges he never anticipated. Jett Travolta was born with autism and experienced seizure disorders. The family kept this largely private, caring for him away from public attention. John and Kelly devoted themselves to parenting, especially to Jett, who needed constant care. John rarely traveled without his son and kept him close. Friends in the Bahamas, where the family often vacationed, often saw them together, their bond obvious to everyone. John would do anything for his children, and Jett meant everything to him. On January 2, 2009, the family was vacationing in the Bahamas at their home in the West End resort. Jett, then 16, had a history of seizures, usually occurring every 5 to 10 days. The family had taken precautions, hiring 2 nannies and installing safety alarms to protect him. Around 10:05 that morning, a nanny woke John and Kelly with devastating news. Jett was found unresponsive on the bathroom floor. John rushed downstairs and immediately began CPR. He tried desperately to save his son, but it was already too late. Jett had suffered a seizure, struck his head on the bathtub, and the injury proved fatal. At only 16, Jett Travolta had passed away. The family's attorney later said John never imagined this could happen because their bond was so close. "Burying a child is a pain beyond words," he explained, and John was left heartbroken in a way language could hardly express. But even then, the ordeal was not yet over. In the period after Jett passed away, an ambulance driver and a former Bahamian senator tried to extort $25 million from John and Kelly. They warned they would expose private details of Jett's death, hoping to cash in on the family's pain. John appeared at a high-profile trial, but in the end, the pressure overwhelmed them, and he withdrew the case. The nightmare deepened the pain of an already devastating loss. By 2010, Kelly welcomed Benjamin, and John told reporters the child brought new life into their home. They began mending gradually, searching for ways to remember Jett. As life continued, John founded the Jett Travolta Foundation to support children with special needs.
Even while they rebuilt, even as happiness crept back in small ways, cancer lingered nearby, prepared to strike again. In 2018, Kelly Preston learned news that felt hauntingly familiar. Doctors diagnosed her with breast cancer, the same illness that had claimed Diana Hyland and Helen Travolta years before. For John, it must have felt like reliving a terrible past. Yet Kelly chose a path that revealed both strength and devotion to her family. She kept the illness largely hidden from the public. She made no announcements, avoided social media updates, and refused public sympathy. Rather than going public, she battled in silence, receiving treatment at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, among the world's leading facilities. Over 2 years, Kelly endured chemotherapy, radiation, and whatever therapies physicians advised. She worked whenever possible, appearing with John in the 2018 film Gotti, portraying Victoria Gotti beside his John Gotti. It turned out to be her final screen appearance, though no one realized it then. Following the Gotti premiere, Kelly stepped almost completely out of public view. The red carpets stopped, interviews ended, and even social posts disappeared. People close to them sensed trouble, but her wish for privacy held firm. John stood beside his wife as she fought the same illness that had taken his partner and his mother. He had endured this twice already, knew the likely outcome, yet still hoped this time would change. Perhaps medicine had progressed enough. Perhaps Kelly might overcome it. He cared for her through treatments, looked after their children, and tried to keep daily life steady. But cancer ignores hope, fairness, and past suffering. On July 12, 2020, Kelly Preston died after her fight with breast cancer. She was 57, leaving John and their children, Ella and Benjamin.
John shared the news on Instagram with words both gentle and heartbreaking. He thanked the MD Anderson doctors and nurses and expressed gratitude to friends and family.